former President Donald Trump's extremely brief goodnight post.
Right on Truth Social, late August 31st.
Yeah, late on the 31st, 2025. And look, this wasn't just some throwaway comment. It kicked off this like wildfire of public speculation.
It really did.
So our mission today is to untack that. Not just the three words, but the reaction, what it tells us about how we process information, especially silence today.
And maybe what it tells us about communication itself in this hyper-connected age we're in.
Right. We'll be looking at it from a few angles: political communication, how the public perceives things, maybe even a bit of cognitive psychology in there.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics. The message itself, just good night. 3 words, all caps, 3 exclamation points.
Yeah.
Now, even if you only vaguely follow him, you know his usual style, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's expansive, often pretty bombastic, rarely short.
Definitely not concise, typically.
So this was just jarring. It stood out because it was so different from the norm.
And what's fascinating from like a communication perspective is how that kind of super brief message, especially from him, instantly creates this void. An information vacuum.
A vacuum, yeah.
It's not just about the words he used, but everything he didn't say. The usual stuff that was missing. That absence is what makes it so potent.
It's almost like strategic ambiguity, or at least that's how people might read it.
Could be. Or maybe just perceived that way. I mean, when someone who usually uses a lot of words suddenly uses very few, your brain automatically starts looking for the hidden meaning, right? You assume it must be significant.
And the timing, the context just amplified everything, because leading up to this post, he'd been completely out of the public eye the whole Labor Day weekend.
Right. There was that preceding silence, too.
Yeah. So this public absence, then this really terse, almost stark message, just poured fuel on the fire. It wasn't just a quiet sign-off. It felt like a quiet sign-off after something else. Made it feel bigger.
Oh, absolutely. That combination, the weird communication style, plus the silence beforehand, it's powerful. In communication studies, we talk about sense-making.
Sense-making?
Yeah, like when something breaks a pattern, especially from someone really well-known, our brains just, kick into high gear, trying to figure it out, trying to make sense of why it's different.
Filling in the blanks again.
Exactly. It's not just curiosity, it's this fundamental drive we have to understand things, especially when it involves figures who occupy, a big space in our public life.
And boy, did the public try to fill those blanks. The reaction was immediate and, well, probably predictable, totally polarized.
Split right down the middle.
Pretty much. You had 2 very clear camps emerge almost instantly. On one side, his supporters. Many of them saw it as relatable.
Relatable? How so?
Like just a simple human good night. Maybe he was tired after a long weekend, something anyone might post. It sort of humanized him for them, maybe a moment of connection.
Okay, I see. A kind of mundane interpretation.
Yeah. But then the other side, his critics, they immediately started asking about, well, possible health issues, even questioning if he was okay, like medically incapacitated.
Wow, okay, so much more serious reading.
Totally. For them, it wasn't casual at all. It was a sign, a clue that something significant, maybe something worrying, was happening behind closed doors. The silence wasn't just silence. It was like loaded.
Well, that split is it's almost textbook confirmation bias, isn't it?
How do you mean?
When we face something ambiguous like this post, our minds tend to sort of unconsciously fill in the details in a way that fits what we already believe or expect.
Right.
So if you're a supporter, you filter it through that lens of, loyalty, maybe positive feelings. Relatable becomes the easy interpretation.
Makes sense.
But if you're a critic, you're looking at it through skepticism, maybe even distrust. So you're primed to look for problems, for hidden meanings, health scares, incapacity. Those fit that narrative.
So the same 3 words get processed completely differently based on who's reading them.
Precisely. It really shows how much our existing attitudes shape how we see new information, especially when that info is, vague, whether deliberately vague or not.
And then adding another layer here.
Yeah.
As of September 1st, the day after, there was 0 official clarification. Nothing from the White House.
Still nothing. Wow.
Nope. So the public was just left hanging, trying to figure out this cryptic message on their own. And this is all happening while, he's dealing with ongoing legal stuff, political challenges.
Right. The backdrop is important.
So that official silence, why doesn't that calm things down? It seems like it just makes the speculation worse.
Oh, it absolutely does. That silence from an official source in today's world, It's like throwing gasoline on the fire. It doesn't create calm. It creates an interpretative void.
Interpretative void. I like that.
Yeah, it's not just that there's no information. It's like an open invitation for everyone's imagination, especially amplified by social media, to just run wild.
So any theory can seem plausible.
Pretty much. Think about, say, a company in crisis that just says, no comment. Does that reassure anyone? Usually not. People often take it as, see, they're hiding something.
Right. Guilty until proven innocent, almost.
Kind of.
Hmm.
In this political context, the White House silence basically lets every theory, from the mundane to the medically alarming, seem potentially valid. It allows all these different stories to take root and spread super fast online. It really highlights the power of that narrative space that opens up when official sources go quiet.
Okay, so this dynamic, ambiguous message, public speculation, it feels familiar. This isn't like the first time something like this has happened, right? Are there other examples?
Oh, absolutely. This basic idea where ambiguity from a big public figure sparks intense guesswork. It happens all the time across different fields.
Like what?
Well, think back to the Cold War. Remember the speculation around Soviet leaders like Brezhnev? Their health was constantly under the microscope.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing about that. Kremlinology, they called it.
Exactly. Any tiny change in how they looked in public, a hand tremor, maybe they missed an event,
Yeah.
intelligence agencies, the media, everyone would be dissecting it. No Truth Social back then, obviously.
Right.
But that information vacuum was just as real. Analysts trying to read between the lines of grainy photos or carefully worded official statements.
Trying to make sense of the signals or lack thereof.
Precisely. Or a more modern example. Think about a tech CEO. Maybe their company is facing some market rumors, and they just tweet a single emoji.
Right, like the thinking face emoji or something.
Yeah. And what does it mean? Good news, bad news. A hint about some secret deal. Investors, especially, go crazy trying to interpret it, projecting all their hopes and fears onto that one little symbol.
It's the same basic psychology, high stakes, limited information, unusual communication.
Exactly the same mechanism. So these aren't just weird one-offs. It's a pretty consistent pattern of how we react to uncertainty when it comes from people with influence.
The tech CEO example is interesting. It really highlights how the influence of the source matters, doesn't it?
Immensely.
And when you put that against the backdrop we mentioned, a public figure already facing major legal issues, political headwinds, how does a simple good night suddenly become this huge national thing?
It really boils down to the intense, almost microscopic scrutiny, hyper-scrutiny that people like that operate under, especially when they're already in the spotlight for controversies or challenges.
Every little thing gets magnified.
Totally. When someone is already central to ongoing legal fights or, say, a really divisive political climate, every single word they utter or, crucially, don't utter isn't just noticed, it's dissected. People are actively looking for clues, for hidden meanings, for strategic moves.
Because the stakes feel so high already.
Astronomically high. So what might be a completely throwaway post from someone else becomes this national conversation piece. It turns into a kind of Rorschach test for the whole political situation.
A Rorschach test.
Yeah.
Yeah, people see what they want or expect to see.
Exactly. It shows how invested the public becomes in these figures and how that investment turns even mundane communication or silence into something potentially profound. The silence itself almost becomes a political statement, whether it was intended that way or not.
Wow. So it's really not just the message, is it? It's the messenger, the context, the timing, the silence around it, everything.
A whole package.
It's incredible, really, how much weight just 3 words ended up carrying in this specific politically charged moment. So, okay, wrapping this up, we went from this tiny social media post
Right.
to this nationwide debate about everything from health scares to political tactics to just how we interpret things. We saw how that message, plus the absence, plus the official silence, created this vacuum that everyone just rushed to fill.
Mm-hmm. With their own theories and interpretations.
Yeah.
And I think what really stands out here is just how fragile, maybe, and how subjective our whole information environment can be.
Fragile how?
Well, this whole incident isn't just about a social media post. It's about this complex dance between what we expect from public figures, the power ambiguity holds, and how fast different, often contradictory interpretations can spread now, especially in a world that's so connected and, let's face it, pretty politically polarized.
Right.
It kind of shows that when you don't have clear, steady communication from the source, the story doesn't just disappear. It gets grabbed, twisted, shaped by everyone else's biases and anxieties.
So what we think it means becomes more powerful than what was actually said.
Often, yes. What we infer can definitely overshadow what's explicitly stated, especially when there's ambiguity involved.
It really makes you think about the challenge of understanding public figures today with all this fragmented information and guesswork.
Definitely.
So thinking about this deep dive, what does it tell you personally about I guess, the strategic use of silence, or maybe just the sheer power of saying very little? How do you, listening now, filter all this, the signals, the noise, the silences from public figures?
It's a lot to process, isn't it?
It really is. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? How much do we ever really know, and how much are we just filling in the blanks ourselves based on, well, based on everything but the facts sometimes?
Yeah.
Leaves you thinking.